body is welcome here, all of it. Yes, even that part, and yes, even that part. The parts you love and the parts you don't. For in this place we come with all that we are, all that we have been, and all that we are going to be. Our bodies are constantly changing. Cells die and cells are reborn. We respond to infections and disease. Sometimes we can divorce them from our bodies, and other times they become permanently a part of us. Your body and all that is within it, both wanted and not wanted, has a place here. Our bodies join a web of co-creation, created and creating, constantly changing and constantly changing us, scarred and tattooed, tense and relaxed, diseased and cured, unfamiliar and intimate. Formed in infinite diversity of creation, your body is welcome here, all of it. So take a moment and welcome it. Take a moment to feel in it. Take a moment to be in it. I am so glad to be here. It is a joy to be among you. What I want to bring to you today is to honor our human forms. We do this in gratitude for our being, bearing in mind that it is Transgender Awareness Week, as well as the upcoming family holiday. Let us celebrate being alive in a human body in all our glorious diversity. It is my hope that today we will find joy in our existence together. Whether you are here in person or online, every facet, every cell of you is welcome. This welcome extends to thin bodies, fat bodies, tall bodies, short bodies, cisgender bodies and transgender bodies, bodies that carry many kinds of identities or affiliations, bodies of every color or shape or size, bodies that roll on wheels, bodies that use a crutch or have a cast or a cane, bodies that have had surgery recently or might have surgery sometime in the future, bodies that are old or young or somewhere in between, bodies that have lots of hair or no hair, lots of teeth or missing a few, bodies that need eyeglasses or a hearing aid or a retainer or braces, bodies that have the nicest, newest clothes or clothes they made themselves, Christy, or bodies that might not have access to a clean place to bathe or sleep. We all live in bodies. As human beings, when we're born and as we grow, we may not realize the enormous gift that our bodies are, until perhaps we get old enough to discover that these gifts might grow and change over time in ways that really surprise us. I say that as perimenopause is kicking my tail. It must be noted that some of us have bodies that others have been socialized to be afraid of, or hold in contempt, or pass judgment upon. None of that's okay. Some of us live in bodies that we have not been able to learn how to love, no matter how hard we try. I asked a friend yesterday if they had any wisdom they might share with us with regards to being a human inside of a body. And if you aren't familiar, you can look up magicalmissmothy.com. This is my friend Mothy. Mothy is someone who inspires people with positivity and seemingly boundless love for everyone. She inspires me. What they said to me was that they have lived their whole life long in a body with unseen disability, ADHD, epilepsy, and living as a gay person in the South, who never felt like they quite fit in anywhere. They said the thing that helped them be at home in their body was becoming a drag queen and creating art. They said that these two things saved them and gave them a reason to continue living when there were thoughts of despair that pushed them towards no longer wanting to exist in a body at all. Some of us might hold shame around how our bodies look or function, but we don't have to. None of us got to pick our bodies. As my mama would have said, there was no Sears catalog for this. I would say there's no online webpage where you can click a certain button and pick and choose and customize the body that you're born with. Well, I mean, if you get plastic surgery, you can later on, but that's another story. We didn't get to pick to start off with. That's why gender dysphoria is difficult for people, because folks feel like there's a discongruity between who they know themselves to be and what they got in terms of equipment, shall we say. They didn't get a matching set, as many of us might feel that we do. Our insides match our outsides, generally for most of us. Likewise, our sexuality comes standard with the package when we emerge from the factory. And for most of us, it's not something we have to give a lot of thought to. What we feel ourselves to be matches nicely with the things society thinks that we should be doing with our bodies. But others among us might have desires or interests that are a little less common. And then those folks might feel shame or sadness or other conflicted feelings about this, but they don't have to. I have to tell you that your sexuality is a gift that came along with the body you were given, and it's okay. It's good. And it's okay to express it with consenting adults in appropriate places, however you choose to. Nothing wrong with it. It's not like we were given this magnificent gift and then ordered to put it on a shelf in a closet and never touch it again. Only take it out under special circumstances. No, y'all can forget that part. Don't listen to that. At times, when I introduce myself as Edith Love or Reverend Love to people, they ask me, did I choose my last name? And I smile and say, well, no, it was a gift from my parents. My parents got their bodies and their names from their parents, and so on and so on. My ancestors number in the hundreds, if not thousands, if you go far enough back, right? We all come from people who come from people who come from people. It's a little mind-blowing if you stop to think about it. And all of us inhabit bodies that were gifts from somewhere, right? You may say your body was given to you from your folks. You may say your body comes from the divine or the universe or random chance. But whomever the gift is from, our bodies are something that was given to us that we did not ask for and we could not possibly have earned. Bodies are what we get to have our whole life long. It's kind of the vehicle we move through the world in. Bodies are what allow us to hug someone that we love. Bodies are what make it possible to create whole new humans sometimes. Bodies are what make it possible to sing and to dance and to cry and to feel strong emotions. We may debate whether feeling those strong emotions is good or bad, particularly when those emotions wash over us pretty darn hard. But even in grief or sadness or rage, it's better to let yourself feel them than try to run away from the feelings, because they're going to catch up with you eventually. Never works the way you want it to if you try to stuff them in a box, put them over here. No, doesn't work. I recall the words in Genesis 1, where in the Hebrew scriptures it goes a little something like this. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. You know how that goes. God said, let there be light, and God made light, and then God said the light was good. You skip down about 20 verses, and God said, let's bring forth some living creatures. Great. And God said it was good. And then a little further down, let's bring forth living creatures on the earth. God did that. God said, it is good. And then in verse 26, God says, and let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness. And so God created humankind in their image. In the image of God, they created them. Male and female, they and them, God created them. I love that part. We're made out of God's stuff. At least that's what I think. It doesn't matter what kind of, you could have all kinds of opinions about this, right? But regardless of the theology of where our bodies have originated, I would articulate to you that our bodies are miracles. This gift that we were given that we did not ask for, that we may or may not be completely happy with, but that's another story. Our cells and our immune systems fight off germs all the time that we're not even aware of. Our lungs take in oxygen and they release carbon dioxide. And we don't even have to give it conscious effort most of the time. Similarly, our hearts beat over and over for as long as we're alive. We don't have to stop and tell our hearts to beat. They just do that. Our brains have neurons that are firing all the time, even while we're asleep. We have muscles that can propel us to do things through space or even push out a whole entire other human being sometimes. Isn't that amazing? Our bodies can help us accomplish incredible feats that we certainly could not do without them. As Unitarian Universalists, we might not believe in miracles, as in the Bible, like someone walking on water, for example, but living in a human form is pretty darned incredible, if you ask me. My grandfather, rest his soul, lived to be 96 years old. I can only hope that I am as lucky to ride inside this body as long as he did. So I'm going to share a poem with you from Joyce Sutphin. The poem is called Living in the Body. Body is something you need in order to stay on this planet, and you only get one. And no matter which one you get, it will not be satisfactory. It will not be beautiful enough. It will not be fast enough. It will not keep on for days at a time, but pull you down in a sleepy swamp and demand apples and coffee and chocolate cake. Body is a thing you have to carry from one day into the next. Always the same eyebrows over the same eyes and the same skin when you look in the mirror. And the same creaky knee when you get up off the floor, and the same wrist under your watch band. The changes that you could make are small and costly. Perhaps better to keep it as it is. Body is a thing that you have to leave eventually. You know that because you have seen others do it. Others who were once like you, living inside their pile of bones and flesh, smiling at you, loving you, leaning in the doorway, talking to you for hours, and then one day they are gone with no boarding address. I think about the people I've known and loved who are now no longer in their bodies. It is my habit when I am in the area to stop and visit my parents and grandparents at their graves sometimes. I sit and visit with them and I tell them about my life. I don't know why I do that. If my mom isn't in her body anymore, I would her be hanging around in a whole graveyard, right? And yet, it feels good to be near to the part that used to hold her. You know, maybe that's a little odd, but I still do it. I wonder if my own children will feel similarly about being near what's left of me when I have left this human form. And so, it is good to have a body. It is good to listen to what our bodies want to tell us. A headache might mean dehydration, not enough sleep, or something else. A stomach ache may be no big deal. Or it might mean that if you get it every day when you go into work, we have a problem here. Maybe work doesn't feel like a safe place. Our bodies have much to teach us if only we will listen. You may say, my body only wants to eat donuts. tell everybody it wants donuts. To sort that out a little bit. I think it is very important for us to figure out as best we can how to love the body we inhabit, regardless of how much time we get to spend inside of it. My colleague, Reverend Suzelle Lynch, shared this with me in a sermon that she gave in 2005. And she says this: "We had to gather with a full group of 100 people in the assembly hall, dressed in only our bathing suits. Row by row, half naked and embarrassed, we were ushered up on a stage and placed in front of full-length mirrors. And as the rest of the group watched, our trainers asked us to take our time and really, really look at our semi-naked bodies, to look at them as though we'd never seen them before. Start with your hair," they said, "and then slowly move your gaze down over your forehead, your face, your neck, your shoulders." Most of us could hardly bear what we saw in the mirrors. Bulgy bellies, sagging flesh, lumps and bumps and weird hair moles, etc. What I saw in the mirror, though, was a perfect body. Perfect by cultural standards, at least 23 years old, slim, barely fit, well proportioned, and untanned. All lumps and bulges were in their right places. For me, the shock, the recognition that brought tears was in seeing clearly for the first time not how my body looked, but how I had been using it. Looking in the mirror, I saw a plastic Barbie doll, a cutie lump I had trotted out for display. I saw that I had used my body as a lure, as a shield. In a culture that objectifies women, I had objectified myself. On that day, something pushed me to truly inhabiting my own flesh. Joyfully, carefully, and completely, I saw in the mirror that I had never really allowed myself to cherish my own flesh, to understand my body as a friend, as sacred, as key to my personhood. I had a body, but I was, in a sense, disembodied. I had been holding my perfect body out to the world like a mask, a shell, and hiding behind it. I saw all of this very clearly in that moment. And so, as my colleague says, we could hide behind our bodies. We could, in a manner of speaking, hide inside our bodies. And we can hide our bodies from others sometimes, if we want to. But I think in order to embrace the fullness of our humanity, maybe we could try to figure out a way not only to tolerate and accept, but actually love, really love, and yes, dare I say, cherish these tissues and cells that move us through space and time. I look around this room and I see people that I love. I see human forms that carry human spirits, who are so very dear to me. And I think that every single one of you is absolutely beautiful. Every single bit of each of you is beautiful. Every cell, every wrinkle, every hair, every single part. And I know that all of us alive right now won't have these bodies forever, which is sad. But also maybe it can impress upon us a sense of urgency, that if at all possible, we must treasure these corporeal beings that we inhabit and live in them as much as humanly possible. Really live. To feel the joy of human aliveness, and to savor the things that we can enjoy, while we can enjoy them. Which brings me around to the holiday this upcoming week, one in which many of us might cook large meals and eat lots of food, might spend time with those we love, or spend some time alone. Regardless of how you might spend it, I hope that you take a moment to honor this body that you live in. to consider how precious your life, as we all are, as one wild and precious life, well, it lives inside your body, right? To feel gratitude, hope that you feel gratitude for people that you love, being near their bodies, with your body. Gratitude for being a person who breathes in, breathes out. The chance to laugh and cry and eat and sleep. May you find joy in beingness this week.